Good morning, I'm Sarah Sapsanamma. Let's begin with the headlines of the hour. Prohibitory orders in place till tomorrow morning in Sarlahi's Barahathawa, a probe committee to be formed to investigate the death of a protester. Government's Ayurvedic medicine producer, the historic Vaidyakhana, in crisis due to lack of raw materials. Production at a complete halt. US Supreme Court agrees to decide whether Trump can be barred from holding office. Oral arguments scheduled for 8th of February next month. And chaos continues at the Brazilian Football Federation as Fernando Diniz dismissed from his position of coach of the national team. The District Administration Office in Sarlahi has replaced curfew imposed in Barahathawa with prohibitory orders. A person had died in clashes amid protests related to the upgradation of Barahathawa Hospital. Curfew was imposed to quell the situation till 8 a.m. this morning since yesterday. Issuing another notice this morning, the District Administration has implemented prohibitory orders, saying that the risk of violence still persisted. The prohibitions will be in effect till 9 a.m. tomorrow morning within the area Barastan, Hazaria, Hanuman Mandir and Soti Chornia Bridge. Assemblies, especially of political motive and movements, have been prohibited. Anyone in violation of the order will be taken under control and actions taken. During clashes yesterday regarding the local hospital, the police had fired gunshots, resulting in the death of a 27-year-old youth who was later identified as Jayashankar Shah. Preparations are underway to form a committee to probe into the matter. Singadarwar Vaidyakhana, the 400-years-old government-owned entity which soldiers the responsibility of manufacturing medicines, is now at crisis. At one point of time, medicines produced here had a high demand even in foreign countries. However, the entity is now facing complications as it has not been able to produce any medicine. At a point of time, Singadarwar Vaidyakhana used to produce around 150 different kinds of medicines. However, it does not produce any medicine now. Those manufactured last year are being sold at the moment to address a fraction of the demand. According to the officials, despite the high demand, the medicines are not being produced. Despite production of medicines at a complete halt for the past 3 months, consumers are continuing to reach the entity for medicines. However, despite reaching Vaidyakhana, they are compelled to return empty-handed. Until last year, around 20 kinds of medicines were produced, which require the human resource to operate from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. However, now with the production at a complete halt, the staff reach at 10 in the morning and return after doing nothing the entire day. It has been learned that the manufacturing is at a halt because of the absence of raw materials required for production. Questions regarding the absence of raw materials, however, remain unanswered. Despite being owned by the government, it is unfortunate that the entity has remained almost dysfunctional. The Nepal India agreement signed this week that allowed India to provide direct grants to Nepal projects worth up to 200 million rupees has caused controversy. Main opposition CPN UML heavily came down on the Prime Minister, who defended the agreement at the Parliamentary Committee yesterday. At the meeting of the Parliament's State Affairs and Good Governance Committee, CPN UML lawmakers protested against the agreement, saying that the government had allowed India to spend up to 200 million rupees however they wanted. They were of the opinion that this grant practice would encourage unnecessary political interference in the country. In response, Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal defended the agreement and clarified that India would not be allowed to operate projects outside the government policy. Premier Dahal added that the issue of Indian Embassy's investments or expenses in projects in Nepal were still in discussion at the Council of Ministers. During the Nepal visit by India's External Affairs Minister S. Jayashankar, an agreement was signed that allowed the Indian embassies to spend in projects worth up to 200 million rupees. CPN UML has shared its concerns regarding the government not seeking any recommendations from the opposition before reaching several agreements with India. UML has shared its differences regarding the government agreement to allow India to invest directly in projects of up to 200 million rupees. Meeting of the Secretariat held at the party headquarters in Chassel concluded that the government had failed in gaining the confidence of the opposition while dealing with India. After the meeting, Party General Secretary Shankar Pokhrel said that the government had reached agreement by weakening the budgetary mechanism. The meeting has decided that the government should clarify the agreements reached during Indian Minister for External Affairs S. Jayashankar's Nepal visit. The meeting also delved into the issue regarding the opposition seeking share in the National Assembly election. After the officials expressed their interest regarding the issue, Party Chair KP Sharma Oli clarified that the party had not sought share with the ruling alliance. The meeting also decided to register candidacies for all 19 seats for the National Assembly election. And it's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. The question is, what's your take on the controversy regarding Indian support to Nepal? Your options are A, fear of interference, B, result of poor diplomacy, and C, an excuse to protest. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Of the several reasons for public frustrations with politics in Nepal, the absence of retirement in the terminologies of political fraternity is one. Several leaders who had reached state management level 3 decades ago are still politically active. Despite having already featured in the high level of state affairs, they hesitate in making an exit from the politics. In a quite sharp contrast, there are several examples in the world where individuals who had quit their profession to enter politics return to their previous engagements after making political contributions to their nations. However, those who have failed politically and those who have already served through top ranks seem to have power affinity and continue to aim for those positions in case of Nepal. While this trend creates a bottleneck for new entrants in politics, the nation is denied service in the respective sectors of such individuals. Ramvaran Yadav, Nepal's first president, was a doctor before becoming politically active. After serving as the president for 7 years, Yadav bade a farewell to politics but did not return to his profession. Instead, he has remained in controversies for using state facilities. He continues to receive monthly remuneration from the state. In addition to that, he took 2.5 million rupees in financial support from the state last year. This makes us question if we should not expect Dr. Yadav's return in the medical field and his contributions to the sector. Meanwhile, Baburam Bhattarai, who was academically sound since his early days, was appointed the Prime Minister. Considered better in terms of academics, in relative comparison to other politicians, Bhattarai quit the Maoist party and opened a new party under his leadership. However, it did not work out and then merged with another entity, which also did not make much difference. The state has also not benefited from his academic prowess. If Bhattarai had wanted, he could have served in any university of Nepal. However, the society has not benefited from his intellectual strengths. There are several instances around us where the society can still expect to benefit. However, despite several capabilities, many politicians have not been able to give up on their political aspirations and serve the nation in better ways. Democratic countries around the world do not have such trend as that of Nepal. Barack Obama and Bill Clinton retired from politics entirely after their presidential terms expired. It is natural that a person will not always remain at the heights. However, there is not much for the new generation to learn from individuals who have already reached political heights in case of our country. Let's move on to international update. The U.S. Supreme Court has agreed to hear Donald Trump's appeal of a judicial decision barring the former president from the state's Republican primary ballot, taking up a politically explosive case with major implications for the 2024 presidential election. At issue is the Colorado Supreme Court's December 19 ruling disqualifying Trump from the state's Republican primary ballot based on language in the U.S. Constitution's 14th Amendment for engaging in insurrection involving the January 6, 2021 attack by his supporters on the U.S. Capitol. The justices took up the case with unusual speed. Trump, the frontrunner for his party's nomination to challenge Democratic President Joe Biden in the November election, filed his appeal on Wednesday. The justices indicated they would fast-track a decision, scheduling oral arguments for February 8th. The Colorado primary is scheduled for 5th of March. At least 4 people have died in Bangladesh as a passenger train was set on fire in the capital Dhaka ahead of the country's general election this weekend. Firefighters extinguished the blaze before the burnt remains of the train were towed away. Bangladesh will hold general elections tomorrow, with Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina set to win a 4th straight term and the 5th overall for her Awami League-led alliance, despite a bleak economic outlook that required an IMF bailout last year. The head of Hezbollah has said Lebanon would be exposed to more Israeli operations if his powerful Lebanese armed group did not respond to the killing of the deputy chief of Hamas on the outskirts of Beirut. Saleh al-Aruri was killed in a drone strike on a southern suburb of Beirut on Tuesday, in what some analysts said could also be seen as a message to Hezbollah that its strongholds were vulnerable to attack. Delivering a televised address for the second time in less than a week, after nearly 2 months without doing so, Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah said the group cannot be silent about a violation of this level. He also said the end of the Gaza war could present a historic opportunity for Lebanon to restore its control over territory now occupied by Israel, including the Sheba farms, the town of Gaza, and other territory. India's first solar observation mission is set to reach its final destination in a few hours. Today, the space agency ISRO will attempt to place Aditya L1 in a spot in space from where it will be able to continuously watch the sun. The spacecraft has been traveling towards the sun for 4 months since liftoff on 2nd of September. It was launched just days after India made history by becoming the first to land near the moon's south pole. India's first space-based mission to study the solar system's biggest object is named after Surya, the Hindu god of sun, who is also known as Aditya. L1 stands for Lagrange Point 1, the exact place between the sun and the earth where the spacecraft is heading. According to the European Space Agency, a Lagrange point is a spot where the gravitational forces of 2 large objects, such as the sun and the earth, cancel each other out, allowing a spacecraft to hover. L1 is located 1.5 million kilometers from the Earth, which is 1% of the Earth-Sun distance. ISRO recently said that the spacecraft had already covered most of the distance to its destination. And that is all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.